Right, so we'll start the 1600 turn here. It's the first turn. You'll note the turn track starts at 1400. That's for the free setup scenario. It can start at 1400, but the actual historical scenario starts at 1600. And yeah, 1900 is the last turn. So the first thing we do, as I went through the sequence of play, is we do the initiative roll. So it's just a straight roll between blue and grey, and we'll see who comes up with the initiative for the turn. So 8-1 in favour of the Union. So the Union have the initiative. This means that they can take one of their chits and play it as their initial activation in the turn. So once we've done that, then we look at the command state of the units and leaders in the game and set their orders. Determine the age of command. Then we also decide the efficiency here, which is mostly set for us for the Union here, but not for the Confederacy and the Union cavalry. We'll do that as well. But I'll just need to have a look at the chain of command here on both sides. Okay, so what I've done for the chain of command, everybody else is alright, but just on the Army of West Virginia, I've just moved Hayes and Thoburn so that they would be in command of Crook, who's got an 8 to 2, 4, 6, 8 from leader movement points. So with our efficiency here, it's fixed for the infantry divisions of the Union, but we have to pick an efficiency chit here for the cavalry. So we'll do that first. Pick out that chit and we get a 1. That's the worst. So normally only one activation for Averill, and he doesn't actually have an efficiency rating, so it's going to be just one activation for the cavalry. We'll have 2 selections here, one for early for the infantry and one for the cavalry. Artillery won't get one, they get a solid 3 chits every turn anyway, so and we have a 3, that's pretty good, that'll do. It's most likely, of course. And for the cavalry, and the cavalry have a 3 as well. So now we decide if we're going to do any particular orders other than advance for everybody, and let's have a look at the map to see what happens there. Right, so for the Union as their initiative player, let's do them first. Pretty much advance for everybody. There's no point in doing march, there's no point in doing attack because they're not close enough. So we'll leave everybody on advance there. Over here we have Hayes on attack. I think we should keep them on attack. They're close enough to these cavalry regiments here on the earthworks, so they can attack there. Devol is currently on advance, and yeah, it may be worth switching to attack, so let's put them on attack. Thorburn's 2 brigades here, pretty sure we're going to stick with them on advance. We want them to move as quickly as possible around, possibly trying to get into this woods here. So the natural, if you like, there's a defence line which isn't the earthworks, is this woods area here. So if I think on the Confederate side, if they can manage it with the cavalry, if they can get to this woods line, maybe it's somewhat defensible terrain, but yeah, who knows, maybe they just need to make a small stand there and retreat even further, possibly back to this creek, and hope the infantry come back up. So that's it for the orders for the Union. For the Confederates, certainly advance, because I think we need to get these guys out of their predicament as soon as possible. There's no point in attack, of course. The only thing to worry about, I suppose, or to consider, is whether we should put anybody on march orders to be able to march over to this wing, if you see what I mean, to try and build a defensive line, particularly on Fisher's Hill here. I think that's probably the strong defence line, if there is going to be one. So in which case, who's going to do that? Now, what we could do is we could get Cox's and Cook's brigades here. They've got +1 orders rating, which is good, to get them to move across here. We could consider moving something down here, so one of these brigades here, although we will then be kind of split with the command. If we've got a couple of brigades moving across and some staying. Also, remember, this valley pike is actually the big ultimate objective anyway. So moving things here is probably, from this hill along, is probably not a good idea. So whether we need to look at maybe Hoffman here as the first of the second, Johnston here as well, and Davis, maybe they could move across. It would leave a big gap in the line though, which would need to be covered by Cox and Cook. I'm more inclined to look at moving Cox and Cook, I think. So we are going to put them onto march orders, I think. And then, of course, Battle's brigade here, and Grimes can stay in spot, maybe do a little bit of shuffling to cover the line here, and we'll bring Davis's brigade around as well to cover. So those two brigades, I think, we will put on march orders. Everything else on advance. Yeah, that's it for the orders segment. The other one actually to deal with is this reserve counter, so that can come off. That starts as part of the scenario. Yeah, we can use Smith maybe to shuffle up the line or really strengthen this area. It's not a great defensive section here, and if we've got the 19th Corps attacking, we probably need to cover this area as well. So we'll just take them off reserve and into advance. Right, so then we're on to the activation segment. So we need to put all the chits in, but the Union need to pick one which they're going to start with. I think it's pretty clear what it needs to be. It needs the 2nd Division of Army West Virginia, Hayes's brigades here on attack orders. If they can move quickly, then they can catch some more of this cavalry before it bolts. So we will take the Army of West Virginia 2nd as our starting chit. So that will start here. I'll take these back to the chart, and we will put the correct numbers into the cup. I think I'll move the camera around just to... So for the Union, we have an efficiency of 4, so that's 4 chits. We're not probably going to use most of those because we don't want to engage in too much fatigue yet. But anyway, we put them into the cup. So Wheaton, efficiency of 4 with no efficiency rating difference, and it is in command, so we put all 4 in. And we'll go through all the others and do that as well. Ricketts actually is out of command. I forgot to mark that. He's out of command from right, and so therefore he would normally get 1 less, but he has an efficiency rating of 1, so therefore he gets all 4 anyway. Amory is a -1, and also Dwight is a -1, so that's -2 off the 4, so the 1st Division of 19th Corps only gets 2. Grover is a 0, so therefore he gets 3. The cavalry only get 1 for their efficiency. Overall has no bonus there. And then in the Army of West Virginia, so we have 4s to put in, so we do that. And then we put in our artilleries if relevant. In fact, I think we're assigning the 2 artillery leaders onto divisions, so therefore we don't really need the artillery. There's the march counter to put in, but there's no march here, so I'll just leave it out. On the Confederate side, we have an efficiency of 3 with early with a +1. Everybody's in command, so everybody's going to get their 4 chits, 3 +1 here. Yeah, Wharton, of course, is out of command here, as is Gordon. So these 2, Wharton and Gordon, are out of command. Gordon's got a +1 anyway, so he'll stay with his 4. Wharton will only have 3 though, so let's do that. Okay, our 3 artillery chits going. There's a lot of chits here. And finally we've got Lomax, which is efficiency of 3. However, he does have a bonus efficiency rating bonus there of 1, so he does get all 4 as well. Okay, so that's all the chits done, set and ready for the turn. And we'll start off with the 2nd Division of the Army of West Virginia. So what I'm going to be doing with these activations is if they're of interest, I'll run through them with the combats, etc. However, if they're just march or reposition advance, etc., then I'm going to show them, but they'll be fast forwarded through, so hopefully it will stop this video being too long. Also, if there are chit pulls which nothing's going to happen, then I'm just going to skip them on the video. But anyway, let's get on now with Hayes's division. So we are on attack, and we can do a move first, and we can fire at any point within that move. So we'll start on this end, shall we, where we will bring in these two regiments in. This will allow the 43rd Tennessee and the 12th Tennessee to reposition. It's facing, so it's now facing them. However, of course, what we have now is the other 2 regiments come in, and they're able, to outflank the cavalry there. Coates will go with them. Hayes will stay behind because he wants to preserve this this command structure here. So we need to do everything to do with this brigade first, of course, and so therefore we will do some firing from here, which is 7 points into. Now the earthwork doesn't count because we're firing along it rather than across it into the hex. So we've got 7 strength points, +1 for prepared fire, +1 for the rifle range. And that's it. So 7 + 2, which is quite strong. I have an 8. That goes to a 10. That's quite a devastating fire on the chart. And the chart says, let's see, it's a small arms 7. A 10 is a 1D. So that's a strength point loss. And that's 43rd Tennessee that takes a loss, and a disorder. Okay, automatic disorder for the big D. Now then, because the disorder happened at the top, we need to roll for the bottom unit, to see if they disorder as well. A 0, so no, they're fine. Right, then we can have coats firing as well. Although what we might do is just charge. So if we don't fire, but we just do a shot combat, then that means that we we get a +1 in the combat. So yeah, I think we'll do that. So we'll just do the shot combat because we are flanking, and we need to go through the shot combat. So we place the shot combat marker here, and the first thing that happens is the units here can do a retreat before shock, which I think they'll do. They're outflanked and they're much smaller, so there's really no point in being there. We do, of course, risk the second disorder, because if you retreat before shock, you have to take a disorder check. But I think it's worth the it's worth the trouble, certainly. So we do the retreat, which I think is 1 or 2 hexes. So we'll go to there. I think probably have a facing change here, and we will do the disorder. So it's already disordered, and a 6 is a second disorder, which for the cavalry for the next 2 turns is an automatic rout. So this unit routes, comes off the board and goes into the routed box for the cavalry, and pretty much it's not coming back in this game, to be honest. So here we need to take a disorder check as well, because of the failure of the top unit. So let's do that, and that's a 2, so it passes. Okay, so with that shock, because of the retreat happened, the unit can just move in. However, it cannot continue shock. And of course, because it moved adjacent, there can be a facing change here for the 1st Tennessee. The shock didn't actually happen. If you do actually do a shock, of course you will suffer disorder with the attackers after the sequence of shocks. There can be more than one in a row, but there wasn't any shock here. They just ran up, and the cavalryman ran away, shall we say. We're looking at this brigade, Duval's brigade. So of course the idea here, I think we have a movement of 3, so 1, 2 to here, and I think, can we split these regiments up? I think we should. So here we'll take the 5 first and move it here for 1. Here we will move 1 and then 2. Duval will stay. I think he will come here, I think. Right, so as this was already fixed by the first movement, this can't change facing, so it is taken on the flank by the 23rd Ohio. And then we can do our combat on it. I think we will just do some fire for the moment. It's only 1 step facing. So from here we will do 6 points. So that's a 6 points plus 1 for rifle, plus 1 for prepared fire, and then also plus 1 for the outflank as well. So plus 3 here. That's a 2, plus 3 is a 5. On 6 is a D plus 1. And we do get what's known as a low ammo result. So rolling a modified 5 means that you put a low ammo marker onto the unit that fired. So that's this one here. And a 5 was a D plus 1. So we roll dice and add 1. That's definitely a failure. So there's a disorder there. One thing I didn't do back here was there's an option of return fire against the units that fired on the unit that eventually routed, so I forgot to do that. I will quickly do that. These were the first to fire, so that would have been 2 +1 for prepared fire and +1 for the rifles, but a -1 because it was a disordered unit. It was actually three stage points. So let's quickly just do that as a recap. That's a 9, good shot, so 9, and that's +1 is 10. A 1 D +2, so there is a loss here. And a D +2, so that's a 7, but there's +2 on the dice for the check. 6, 7, 8, so that was actually a disorder. And we'll check below. And that's also a disorder. So, however, of course, the shot came from that hex there, not from this hex. Okay, so back to where we were. This guy cannot fire back because he's not facing. So we will now fire here. So that's 5. Yes, I think we will just do a shock combat here, and we will do a shock combat here with the vols stack there. So, as before, there is retreat before shock possible, and I think certainly we will try and do that. So back 2 hexes to here, maybe that orientation there. And we will take the disorder check. Oh dear, a 9. Okay, so that's a disorder, and the regiment below, also a fail. So both disordered here. And of course, an advance can happen. And as before, McFarlane stack here can shift 1 vertex. Okay, so in this shock we will try and do the same thing again. Retreat 2, maybe into the same stack actually. And put that shot back, and we need to do another disorder roll here. A 0, they're fine. Okay, but quite vulnerable there. And of course, with the shock, we'll move here. So when you get a retreat before shock, of course, you don't get a continuation of shock. That's the first activation. Right, we've pulled the second chit for the 3rd Division of 6th Corps here. So we had one movement up. Now we've got the second chit. So we'll do a brigade orders change. Particularly Emerson. I think Kiefer we can keep on advance. He's still got some forest to go through here. So Emerson's change here. He doesn't have any modifiers and he's not stacked with the division leader or the corps leader. The orders rating is 0, so therefore it's a straight roll. It's a 6. 6 is change. So Emerson can change to attack orders, and let's move them up. Half movement, of course. So that's actually 3 there. This is 2. This is 1, and hasn't got enough to move up the slope yet. And this is 1 here. But what we can do now is we can fire. So we'll do those fires. So here to here we have 7 points coming up there, +1 for the rifle at 2x range, and -1 for the earthworks. So that's a 0. Oops, a 1 is unlikely to do anything. There is a D-2, so D-2 on the 36th Virginia there. That's a 3. That's fine, of course, that's down to a 1. Okay, we have the possibility of a shot back, which is 4 points with +1 for the rifle, so it's 4 + 1. A 9, oh, that's a 10. 10 on 4. 10 on 4 is a 1D, so that is disrupted and also takes a loss. And then a shot from here. That's going to be tricky actually. I think there's because of the double height here, I think there's no way. There's a shadow there. There is no shadow there. We will shoot here, I think, with this. So that's 7 +1 -1. A 0. A D-2. Three is fine. Shot back, which is 3 +1 for the rifle. 3, that's a 4 on 3. D-1. 5 going to a 4, that's fine. And finally we have 7 shots here. Yeah, that's fine. So 7, and that's just a straight roll, +1 -1. 0. 7 shots. Here's a D-2, I believe. Yep. So D-2. Oh, it's a 6. Which is greater than the 5, so this unit is part of the cavalry, so it does rout automatically. And I think yeah, so I think we'll get fire coming back from here. That unit was adjacent to the one being fired at, so that's 2 +1. Here's a D+1. 4, 5 is no problem. It's a 6. Okay, and we can move these other units now. Yeah, so with Kiefer we're trying to use the forest to move around here, still on advance. So we finally have the cavalry division here for the Confederates. Finally, there's been a lot of movement, of course, with the Army of West Virginia here into its rear. Thing to try and do, especially as we've got the 3rd Division of 6th Corps here right in front of it. There's a lot of rallying needing to be done because we don't want them just to fail a disorder and that's it, they've routed. So certainly we should try and fix what's here, certainly in Thompson's division, not so much with Johnson's. Well, I think here, I think the movement is more important than the rally. I think what we need to do is to get them moving across this way if possible. So let's start with the horse artillery here. We need to get round the woods here. Woods is very difficult for the artillery. Woods is 4 per hex, so you would only go 2 hexes here. If we can pull back these regiments here back into the woods, and then Johnson can move back. So let's move Staunton first. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And try and shield the disordered units here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we'll stay there. And a 1, 2, 3, 6, actually you might form the line there, actually. Another disordered unit here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here. 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 here. But I've lost our commander here, Johnson. Johnson back here. Possibly we'd need Lomax here. And then moving Smith over. These are much slower, these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can move the artillery here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and maybe the artillery in front of the infantry, since it's a better state than the infantry is, and we'll do the same thing with these are all disordered, so we want to get these guys as far away as possible. 1, 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll follow up with all the others. Form a line there. We might put this guy here. Smith needs to go with his troops, and then finally McFarland here. So there will be some withdrawal fire coming through on these guys, but there's just no point in not moving them. So 7 points into here, plus 2 earthworks are no good. 3, 4, 5. D plus 1, although there is a out of ammunition, or low ammunition here. That's a D plus 1, so we roll that. An 8, that's a fail, so there's disorder there. And from fire, a disorder for this guy as well. 7 he routes, I'm afraid. And McFarland, we need to roll his survival. 0, he becomes a casualty. No, he's fine. Actually, it could be withdrawal fire here from them as well. It's a 5. 5 plus 2. 1 goes to a 3. A 3 is D minus 1. McFarland actually helps on these rolls. 4 is good enough. It's 5 down 4, up 1 for McFarland. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 to there. I think this guy needs to turn around as well. I think we'll try and do some rallying here. It's a 5 followed by another 5. Yes, and a 0 is yes. We should try and turn these guys around. 6. Shouldn't be flipped. We need to keep this wall manned, I think, so we'll just move across to there. We might actually put Thompson here. Right, and just a slight correction here. This artillery, actually, earthworks is +3 for artillery, so that direction is not very good. So we will just move them from here. 1, 5, 9, second division of West Virginia. We might want to switch these guys to advanced mode again. So with coats, I don't believe there's any modifier, we just roll the dice. A 0 is a retain and stand. They don't actually move at all. With the vol, he's got a +1 for his orders rating, so we can add 1 to the dice. Oh God, that's a 1. That's a retain and stand, so actually they don't move. Maybe that wasn't the best idea in the world. Anyway, that's 2nd Division of West Virginia Army. And up next is the 1st Division Army of West Virginia. Now, they've already gone twice. Now, usually if you actually do a 3rd activation, that will incur a fatigue. However, for these special rules for the Army of West Virginia, they can have 3 activations, and if they have the 4th, then that will incur fatigue, so they can actually go again. So should we form up and then switch to attack? Let's stick with the advance and then try and change maybe in the next activation. Let's keep moving here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can come out here. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With an advance, of course, we can't go adjacent, so we can't move adjacent, so that's 1, 2, 3. We will stay here, possibly shifting this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, here with Wells, so we'll go here, and probably have this here. This is upslope here, so that's 3 to go to there. And we'll bring both of them up here. And I think we should bring this guy 1, 2, 3. We need to bring Harris here, and Wells. If he's here, what I want to do is I want to move Thorburn up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So on an orders change with Wells, he gets a bonus of having the division commander stacked with him. Right, so the 3rd Division of Confederate Army, the Valley. So here, of course, Cox and Cook here are on march orders, so we wait for the march order chit to come out, and they do their complete movement. However, we've got the Battle and Grimes brigades here to deal with, and we need to extend our line, maybe even up to Fisher's Hill. So let's start by doing So we pulled out the chit for the Confederate Cavalry Division, Lomax's division again, which means they'll be able to reorganise themselves even more. And I think the idea is to move maybe Johnson back here, Thompson to effectively keep going back, possibly to try and get behind the line there, and Smith and McFarland to shuffle along again. So we pulled out the next one, which is the cavalry division again, which is really good for being able to pull away. That would be their third activation, so they will get a fatigue for doing it, but they want to get away as quickly as possible out of the way. But first, what I wanted to do is actually go back to the second division of Army West Virginia. I rolled for the brigade orders and failed for both of the brigades. However, the one automatic change allowed actually does apply to this turn, the 1600 turn, not next turn but this turn, as well as the initial turn. So actually those should have been able to change to advance. So I'm actually going to be moving this brigade anyway. Now what I'm thinking actually is that maybe this brigade could be redeployed this way rather than worry about here, because we've got the third Ricketts 3rd Division here, so I don't think it's any use just filling in this gap here. So I think we'll redirect them up here. Probably worth switching both Wells and Harris to attack with the automatic change, like we did the automatic change here. And so it'll be slow going now through the forest. So there's only one hex really here. Here will be 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2. I'll move Wells up. We have combat here, so we'll do the fire from 5th New York first. So 7 + +1 for the rifles, +1 for the prepared fire. Zero, so that's 2. 7 on a 2 is a D-1. 2. That's an 8, that's no good. Yeah, so there's a disrupt there. So it's just a straight 2 roll. Close to everybody. A 5 is a D-2 and of course a low ammunition marker. D-2 for the 15 naught. A 9, oh, failure. Okay, so that did disorder them. We'll have, first is the possible retreat. Again, I think we should retreat. Retreat before shot. Idiot. Okay, so that's a rout. And there's a move in. Johnson certainly could turn. And McFarland. It doesn't make a lot of difference, but okay, so that's Wells' brigade. But now with Harris's, so we really want to head off in this direction, I think. We've got danger of approach fire here from Staunton, but let's start from this end. So that'll be 3. So if we do the same here, then some approach fire from Staunton. That's 4 3-inch rifles +2. It's canister, so we use the small arms table. 6 +2 is an 8. An 8 is a big D, an automatic disorder. And then the 23rd Illinois. So I suppose we'll do that. And here we will do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Harris along there. Thoburn in the middle. So the fire, well, we will fire here. 4 +2 prepared and rifle. There's a 7 D +2. The artillery takes the check and is fine. 20th Virginia here, 3, and have a fight there. So that's 3 +2. That's a 4 D-2. 7. So that's 2 -2 on the dice. It's a 5, so they're fine. So we'll do some shot combat on that hex. Okay, so because there's artillery there, they're not able to retreat before shock, so we're standing. Next thing is the pre-shot check. A 4, which is good enough for the artillery. So the artillery will shoot. So we've got 4 on the small arms, and it's +3 for the 3-inch rifle. Ooh, that's a 9. Oh, yeah, that's fine. So it took the loss. And then 3 points +2 for prepared and rifle fire from the infantry underneath. 6 is a little D. A 4, they're fine. So that's the fire done. Artillery only counts as 1. It's 1 per 4 guns. So 1, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 6. That's 6 versus 3. So that's a 1 to 2. So it's a -2 on the dice for that. No defender was disordered. There was no charge benefit. We're going across the stream. That has no effect on combat. There's no position modifier. The attacker has no brigadier with it, so that's another -1. -3 on the dice, not a very good shock. Is a standoff, both sides are disordered. Okay, well that's could have been worse. And disordering everything here, including the artillery, is valuable. That should be the end of that activation. Quickest division here. We can take the third activation, even though he's out of command, because there are 4 activations available. So we're going to try and get Kiefer's brigade down here. Emerson's up the hill, I think. Let's do Emerson first. He's on attack orders. I think we might try and switch to advance. He's on a 0 orders rating. So let's see what that is. A 3. I don't think a 3 is good enough. It's a retain, so he's still on attack orders. That's fine. So what we'll do, that's I think that's one. Yeah, that'll be just 1 hex. These will all just be 1 hex, I'm afraid. And this one, I think we will try and rally. 5 is good enough. So 106 New York is no longer disorganised. Now with Kiefer, we will. So we've got these cavalry defending here, and so we can't go next to them. What we'd really like to do is to get down to this sort of area. So I think what we'll do here is we will go, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to there. Probably 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there, and that'll be 1, 2, 3. We've got the approach fire here from that artillery, but I think we're probably going to have to brave it. Yeah, so now he's in that arc. Once he moves, that'll be approach fire. So do we want to move any further? Possibly not right now. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that actually is in the approach fire. He will get fired there. So we've got Parrot 10s and Napoleons. Parrot 10 and Napoleons at 3 hexes. Parrot 10s is +1, Napoleons are +1, so we can combine them. So that's 4 + 1, and wasn't on the flank when it was there. So 4 + 1, and the small arms table. Oops. Wrong. 7 + 1 is an 8. On 4 is a D. So tomorrow. So disordered. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where we've got key for 2. And as they move, they can't fire. So that's, and we move Ricketts as well, I suppose. And we want to get him a little bit closer to the right if we can. He's got 6 range. So we can stick Emerson here. Kiefer maybe here. And if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that gets us to Emerson, okay. And if we bring right up, then Ricketts can be back in command. So that kind of works. Yeah, so let's do some firing here. So it's these guys here. We have 2 infantry here, which is going to fire. So that's 2 plus 1. The problem is that does actually cause return fire, but that's a 4 plus 1 is 5, a D minus 2, and of course an out or low ammo as well. So that was here. D minus 2. D minus 2. 5, 3, they're fine. Fire back would be 7 points. Plus 1 for rifles, minus 1 for the earthworks, so just 7 points. 6 is a big D, so that unit is disrupted. There's a D plus 2, got that right. Let's redo that. A D plus 2, that's the same result though. Here, fire here I think, that's 2, plus 1 for rifles. Oh, very good. 2 on 2 is nothing. Fire back with 6, with 0 because of the earthworks cancelling out the rifle fire. 4 on 6 is a D. Oh dear, 7. No, 7 is fine. It's a 7, so that's good. That's all for the 4th Division. Right, well that's the end of the activations, and I've done the commander movement, just adjusted some of the leaders just to try and get the command working properly. Probably slightly out of turn on the division and brigadier leaders, well division leaders, but never mind, just trying and get used to getting this right. So what have we got here? So the whole line has pretty much moved forward. The cavalry have, from this defence, has been shrunk down to this perimeter here and is menaced by the Army of West Virginia here and Ricketts brigades here. The cavalry have marched up the road, but they only got 1 activation. That's as far as they got. They didn't march actually, they just advanced because we couldn't guarantee that a march would be possible when the chit was pulled. The second division of 6th Corps here try and look to set up the artillery up here to maybe blast away through on this flank here, and these guys kind of hiding really because there's a bit of artillery up here. That's where the concentration of artillery is, along here, to just shield themselves. Same here with just hiding in the woods. With 19th Corps, we wanted to see if we could get the 19th Corps to get in and maybe have an attack, but that's been closed off here by the Confederates. But maybe now we're here, we can do an assault up the hill and see how we get. On the Confederate side, we've plugged the gap here, and we've looked with Gordon's division here to spread out a little bit and then also for for Pegram's division here to take up a lot more of the line. And what this has allowed us to do is to pull Cox's and Cook's brigades out of the line here, send them round on a march up to Fisher's Hill. So we wanted them to take a position through here, blocking position, so that this outflank can be prevented. However, as you can see, we've got quite a thin line here, quite a lot of stuff coming in to it, and we still have these vulnerable cavalry. They have some, I think, negatives next turn as well for the 1700 turn. So that's where we are. We've got this move came through here from the surprise attack from the Army of West Virginia. Everything else has pretty much moved up. Been trading a few artillery shots, etc. I haven't actually filmed any of the artillery activations, because it would go to the wide shot, and then you wouldn't quite see what I was doing, and it pretty much results in a couple of demoralisations. So I did disorders, and that's all really. So I've just done that off camera. So next we're on to the 1700 turn. So that's the last light turn, full light turn, and let's see how we go for that, and we'll see in the next video.